focusing on winning arguments, we're teaching the basic fundamentals of sales and marketing and how we can use them to win in the world of politics, teaching you how to meet people where they're at on the issues they care about. Welcome to The Brian Nichols Show.
Well, happy Friday there, folks. We made it. Yes, happy Friday indeed. Brian Nichols here on The Brian Nichols Show. Thank you for joining us on, of course, another fun-filled episode. I am, as always, your humble host, and today it's you and me one-on-one, and today we're going to be talking about emotion and meaning. I promise it'll make sense as we get towards the episode, but first, got to go ahead and give a shout-out to today's episode sponsor, and that is the one, the only Expat Money Show. And you can go ahead and head over to briannicholsshow.com/expat and check out not just the Expat Money Show, but also sign up for the Expat Money Summit. More on that in a second. But why the Expat Money Show? Because you want to make sure you're protecting your money that you work so hard to earn from ambulance-chasing lawyers, nefarious creditors, and greedy, unjust governments. Our good friend, Mikkel Thorup, has an amazing show, the Expat Money Podcast, where he helps people just like you invest internationally, secure second passports and residencies, eliminate your tax bill, and take advantage of offshore structures so you can travel the world freely and never have to worry about money again. Now, I mentioned the Expat Money Podcast, but the Expat Money Summit is coming here November 7th through November 11th. It's going to be 5 days, 30 expert speakers. And by the way, it's an entirely free summit. So make sure you head to briannicholsshow.com/expat and get your tickets for free today. All right, folks. So it's you and me. And I want to talk today a little bit about something I've been thinking more and more about, and is the idea of connecting emotion and meaning. So I want to go ahead and I made a little slide for you guys today. Let me see how this works. Upload file. Holy cow, it worked. All right. So if you're over on the YouTube, you're going to see this popping up the screen. If you're joining us here on the audio version, well, my goodness, you head over to the YouTube so you're not missing. Yeah, we have a slide to go along with it today. So attaching emotion to meaning. When I'm talking about emotion, first and foremost, it's important to remember the fact that people buy on emotion. Now, we in the Liberty world, we get stuck sometimes in the wanting to good idea people to death. We think because our ideas make the most sense, they are the most logical, that people will just naturally jump on board just like we did. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. But also, if we are being honest with ourselves, that's not how it worked for us either. Because there was likely something that was an emotional trigger, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, or if we even remembered it or not, that actually pushed us into making the decision to join the Liberty movement. So when we're talking about emotion, we also have to go back to the idea of it's not what it is, but what it does. And then I want to attach why it matters. And the why it matters is huge. So we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, it's not what it is, it's what it does. And reiterating that, so you have a hammer, right? The hammer can hit a nail, right? That's what it's doing. But it's not just the hammer and what it does, or it is, but what does that actually accomplish? So let's say you're putting a nail into a wall to hang a picture. Okay, so now you're seeing the outcome you're looking to accomplish. But why does that matter? Well, what if that picture was the brand new picture of you and your wife on your wedding day? So you want to make sure that not only are you putting that picture up, but it's going to be secure. You want to make sure the hammer and the nail are the best quality to keep your picture of you and your wife on the wall standing and not falling to the ground crashing. That's the why it matters. So when we look at meaning and the meaning behind the why it matters, that is where emotion lives. What if you came home and you saw that picture on the ground, shattered, the glass ripped the actual picture in half? That would be a little scary, but also it definitely would hit you a little bit. Sadness would overcome you, and then the annoyance of having to go ahead and get another picture and have to go ahead and get it reframed. So all of a sudden you see there are emotional triggers that all of a sudden start popping up that we weren't even considering, right? So that is also where we're getting the meaning attached to the emotion. And when we find that emotional trigger that inspires meaning, then we can go ahead and help people take action. And this, in the world of sales, is where you have the most opportunity to actually get somebody to move forward, is when you find the emotional trigger And if you're able to focus on that and then get them to see that they can solve this emotional trigger because they see the meaning behind your solution, and they get excited at the idea of moving forward because now they know they can help avoid maybe this negative emotional trigger. Or if it's in the idea of love, right? Because people want those fear and love emotions. So if it's in the world of love, this is how it's going to make their life better. So finding that emotional trigger that inspires the meaning and then getting them excited enough to move forward. And then how do we tie the knot? We tie the knot by telling stories. So when we're telling stories, and we've talked about this many a time with how many guests on the program, I know we really focus on it with our good friend there, Matt Kibbe, because he and his team over at Free the People do incredible jobs at telling stories, especially from a liberty-based perspective, to make the ideas, these solutions we're bringing to the table actually make sense. So let's look at, for example, one of the best stories. And if you've listened to the program here, I'm sure you're familiar with this story. It's Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie has a show over on Free the People, and it's called Off the Grid. And in that documentary, Thomas Massie pretty much explicitly avoids the political conversation from an RD standpoint, Republican Democrat standpoint, and instead focuses on truly a solution that he's doing on his own, which is living a environmentally carbon neutral life, if you will. He and his family are living off the grid in Kentucky. He has his entire home. It's powered on, I think it's two Tesla battery generators, I believe it is. He uses solar power. He has his own irrigation for his farm. So Thomas Massie is living the life a lot of our more hippie progressive friends on the left scream about, who live in these big cities where their carbon footprint is likely a lot higher than that of Thomas Massie and his families. And yet we can then show them a solution, show them someone who's doing something differently, give them real tangible solutions that they can start to instill in their own lives. And then in turn, show them that Thomas Massie, oh, by the way, happens to be a Republican, happens to be a liberty warrior out there fighting the good fight. And he has been for a number of years now. So you can help tie the correlation by telling stories and then make it real for them. And I use Matt Kibbe and his team over at Free the People as the main example. So please go ahead and support them because they are doing phenomenal work. But right there, I'll wrap up today. It's a shorter episode. We really have to focus on meaning and emotion. If you want to make successful sales in both real life, with the Liberty Movement, trying to get people on board with what we're talking about for solutions, or if you're in your day job as a world of sales, or if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, it is tough to be able to get people to go from where they are, their status quo state, to a new state. But we can help do that by not just talking about what it is our product is, or not just what it does, but why it matters. What's that meaning of the why it matters? And with that, the emotional attachment to what we can do to help make that person see the meaning and make it real for them. And then tell the story, connect the dots, make it real so they can see themselves in the story. And then at that point, the solution just makes sense. So with that being said, folks, oh, by the way, I'm going to turn around here because we have a new sponsor on the Brian Nichols Show, and that is the Blood of Tyrants wine. You can go ahead to briannicholsshow.com/wine. I'll actually go ahead and share there on the screen here for our YouTube watcher. Here, one sec. Here we go. So if you head to briannicholsshow.com/wine, yeah, you can discover the taste of freedom. Blood of Tyrants. Lethargy is the forerunner of death to the public liberty, says Thomas Jefferson. You can get 1, 2, 3, 6, 12 bottles of wine. And by the way, each time you get more wine, the price of the wine goes down per bottle. These are all Merlot, and their Merlot is a rich garnet, I hope I'm saying that right, color, with flavors of black cherries, plums, and figs, with a soft and smooth finish. With its crisp acidity and ripe fruit flavors, this wine is an easy match for any occasion. The grapes were selected among the best vineyards in the region. In some areas, warm, sunny days provide optimum grape ripening, while Pacific Ocean fog creates cool nights and maintain the acidity in the grapes, resulting in a balanced Merlot full of flavor. What does that mean to you? It means you get a phenomenal wine, but also You get to support an awesome liberty organization because, yes, this company is owned and operated by good libertarians out there. So if you want to go ahead and partake, and now I don't partake in the alcohols anymore, but I can tell you, I've heard from friends. Kenny Cody just got some of this wine as well. Only good things. So please, if you're interested in getting a little bit of Blood of Liberty, Blood of Tyrants, that is, wine, please head to briannicholsshow.com/wine and get your bottle today. And make sure you use code TBNS at checkout, and you'll get $5 off there at checkout. So with that being said, folks, thank you for joining us on today's episode. I hope you guys had a great week. I know we had a lot of great guests here on the program this week. Go ahead, double check the episodes. If you missed any of them, I'll make sure I include all those in the show notes. But with that being said, it's Brian Nichols signing off here on The Brian Nichols Show. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to The Brian Nichols Show.
No.
Find more episodes
Monday.
at briannicholsshow.com.